Thing to note here too.
Ba-da-ba-da-da. Oh. Alright, might as well get started. Oh, squared away a couple of things, so... Yeah, I'm trying to start a new kind of 100 secrets unveiled per hour. Yeah, man. I'm just trying to try a new thing out and see what people think. Just go from there. Like, just have an open discussion with anyone on stream. But for the most part, what I'll be doing is just analyzing the games in the SCL. This week is going to be Hutt Cartel versus Porgs, as it was the most recent match that we played, but I'll progressively go back. I didn't actually record this game, so we'll be doing it from the perspective of the casters. So this is actually going to be Nerdy Northerners stream, and I've just muted it so that it doesn't get it doesn't overlap like my voice versus theirs. But credit to them for, you know, actually casting this and making and looking after these matches and setting all that kind of stuff up. So I will switch over. We're just going to go through it all. So straight off the bat, game one, we've got Radiant, Spoon, Sheriff, Lumen, and Pacificus versus Velian, Jido, Rediak, Julius, and plus JB. Now, I think for Porgs, this is most of their standard lineup, whereas for the Cartel, Pacificus and Lumen have been subbed in for this one, and Radiant was on support. Yeah, thanks, Radiant. Yeah, we had Radiant on support. We're trying to cross-train him on that one, but for the most part, it's just needs must at this point. We'll see if they actually get into showing us any of the builds that any of us were using, but I don't think they are. I'm just gonna skip ahead slightly. Just to see if they do. Okay, they don't. So the map is Yavin. So you've got those clouds in the open, so you really need to be utilizing that, especially as rebels, to get the bottom right-hand side pack of AI. And then you've got top mid and mid left. So I kind of use, when I describe the AI paths in the open, I always try and use a like XY system. So you've got whether they're left, mid, or right, and then you've also got high, mid, or low, and you use a combination of those to describe where the AI are actually coming from. For the Empire, you still can use the cloud cover, but it's a little bit more interesting because you can get there first, but the AI aren't close to the clouds. They're much higher. Whereas as you're approaching from the rebel side, you do have that bottom right pack that is basically touching the clouds. So here we have Porgs, Velian in X-Wing plus JB in X-Wing. Jido is our support, and Rediak and Julius are running the bombers, so they'll be farming on the open. The Hutt Cartel, we've got Radiant in the support. We have Spoon, Sheriff, and Pacificus, all three of us in bombers, and Lumen is in a defender. Let's see how this opening goes, but I think it's mainly just standard loadouts from both teams here. Is it a bro or a Mancia? What do you mean? So both teams will start engaging on each other roughly around the 35 below kind of time, and that's similar for all maps really. Like, distances vary. I think SCL is actually the most spaced out map, but Yavin, even though it's an open map, everything is still pretty close together. So it's quite interesting to see the different approaches for those different maps, because you've basically got double the distance to cover when you're on SLEs. So it does make the games longer. It makes things like if you die in a bad position, then not just not of me, it'd be 8 minutes of stop fucking up. Oh, thanks, Fame Pummy. Much appreciated. But yeah, everything on Yavin is weirdly closer together than a lot of other maps. And so teams will start engaging at that 1 minute 35, maybe slightly lower. And the AI will start to come in, and then the pressure will start being applied from each of the sides. Obviously, because the Hutts are running 3 bombers here, it's a lot. So we see sorry, those 3 bombers will mean that it's a lot easier to pick up those 3 packs kind of instantly. This idiot needs to balance his shields. Yeah, he's got... Oh, yeah, taking that full frontal damage, then finally balances your shields. Radiant, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, Zyphas, I will upload all of these to YouTube. There's a link in what's this place? There's a link in Twitch on it. It's called Rottingham. Just based off of the Men in Tights movie, so everything will be available there for that. But I'm doing this massively off the cuff. I might bring out the Myro board in a bit, just to go over different approaches for certain things on Yavin. But we'll see how it goes. They shot the support first, and yeah, I mean, there is an unwritten rule that you just shouldn't shoot the support. You should just leave them alone. And as you can see, where I've paused it at the moment, someone did in fact shoot the sheriff, so that's not cool. Basifa's got picked off very quickly there. We'll have to take that back a couple of seconds, because he goes from like full health, 30 seconds, 28, takes damage, and gone. Wow, that was fast. He got melted. That must have been like a 2 or 3 on 1, so... Everyone knows you gank sheriff first. I mean, if you can catch me. You only kill it if you can get away with it. Yeah, plus 500 points. It's not GTA. I don't know if Basiphus was able to get off his pack there. And from what I can see, there is a little bit of back and forth between the AI farmers here, but taking one of the farmers out on the Hutt Cartel is quite big, because it means that the insta-flip just doesn't happen. Yeah, so the kill went down, and then there was 1, 2, 3 exchanges of AI. So the Hutt Cartel got 2, and Porgs got 1. Now, when you're reaching this kind of 23, 22 point, I would expect all 3 packs to have gone by now, regardless of which side you're on, unless people are being pressured as bombers. Like, that makes it difficult. But in an ideal situation, you can get those 9 AI to flip the phase almost instantly, because you'll go from something like a minute 35 to a minute 30 starting the engagement, and then you'll drop down to somewhere between a minute 20 and a minute 25, and all those packs, all those 9 AI at the bare minimum should be gone. Because remember, you only need, because the morale starts in the half, the total morale bar is 50, and you only need 25 each side in order to flip it. But after taking into account that the enemy team also want to win that open, then it's a lot more back and forth. So what actually ends up happening most of the time is, if the farm is not necessarily interrupted or slowed down, then it will just balance out, which means that you have to get the flip from another point. This is why the Empire is actually really, really powerful when it comes to the opens, because they can just get to their AI quicker. Even though the AI is a lot nicer for the rebels, like in that cross formation, the meaning that any Goliath at any one of them kills the lot, which is great, unless they're turning, which can present a few problems, but for the most part, it's fine. But with Rebels, you've got those flying Vs, which does make it a little bit more annoying, and you have to hit the middle one. But like I said, the Empire can get there first, so that should mean that if the Empire pilots are good, then they will always win the open, just based off that AI, because they can get there a couple of seconds before the Rebels can. However, super interesting thing, and I've thought about this as a strategy, which is really fun. I've just not been able to execute it yet because I came up with it basically 2 days before the championship and never implemented it. But what you can do is so as a phase flips, right, you've got that 7.5 seconds of time where it says, oh, you need to fall back, or you're on attack. But during those 7.5 seconds, it's still very much the same morale. So it's still 50 points of morale for the bar. So what you can do as Rebels, and you could even do this as Empire, it doesn't really matter, but the strategy or the idea is that you would let the enemy team flip the phase. You would let them win the opening phase. But what you would do is you'd immediately farm during those 7.5 seconds. And what that means is that the morale bar, if you just get 2 packs, is more than half already before they even do anything. And then all you need is another pack of AI and a Raider, and you flip the phase. Which, if you've got everybody committing to that, is pretty huge, because a lot of teams don't do the same kind of thing that the Hutt Cartel do with a jungle. So, and the jungle is pressuring the enemy farmers, right? So, if you've got everyone committed to taking down that Raider, then it should result in basically just the shields being taken down on the first frigate, which would be huge as well, because everybody on the defending team is already in front of the defensive line, which puts them in front of their opponents, which means that they have basically a free run at the frigates as well. So assuming that the ordnance is reasonable, which it should be, to be honest, at that point, then they have like a 2,000 meter advantage compared to their opponents, because their opponents are all over the frigates, where you've just flipped the phase and you're now all over their frigates and they have to come back. So yeah, it shortens their offensive, which is a really fun idea. Now, there's a few individual tricks that you can do with ensuring that that happens, but we're not going to go into those. So that's one approach that you can take when you come in on this. But from what I can see at the moment, after the first death of Bocephus, the second death was on Julius, another bomber. So that crippled Hellporg's farm, especially being 20 seconds into the engagement. Now, I say 20 seconds and not 40, or sorry, not 40 or 50 seconds, because you don't meet each other until that minute 30, minute 35 point, right? So there's only really been 20 seconds of engagement. And by this point, most of the AI, if not all of the AI, is basically used up, and you're waiting for them to respawn and get back into the fight. So that means you either need to switch to PK for a little bit, like, and by a little bit, I mean somewhere between 5 and 15 seconds. Or, as most teams do, they switch to go for the Raider. But I don't remember if a Raider is actually taken out on this open. But the Cartel have done well to get the morale so close. But now it's been 11 seconds and the morale's not shifted. So even though there's 3 bombers on the field, I'm not quite sure. Oh, Bocephus comes out when? Comes out there. So he comes out at minute 5. So he's technically not on the field to actually get the farm. So that just leaves Spoon, who is currently ionized and under pressure, and Sheriff, who is either running around trying to find farm or doing something else. Don't know what I was doing, but if it takes you like 10 seconds to get some AI, if you're not under pressure, then there might be a little bit of a problem there. So that was definitely not efficient for Sheriff. I know I'm talking about myself in the third person. Do not care, because it's an objective kind of like review of everything. On the flip side of this, it actually puts a lot of pressure on Rediak, because he's the only bomber on the field, and if he drops, then at the moment it means that Hutts take the flip, and it also means with 2 bombers and then Basifa's coming out on the bomber as well, back into the fray, then... No, it's not gloating, it's not gloating. It's analysis. It's going through it. It means that if Rediak gets taken out, then it flips the phase, but it also puts pressure on him for the farm, and if you've got 2 bombers on the enemy team, they can out-farm a single bomber. Most of the time. A lot of it depends on the map and things like that, but that's how it goes. He's under pressure, he kind of gets away, but again, nothing's happening for, at this point, 15 seconds. There we go. Okay, so the pack of AI comes in for Hutts. Rediak was probably under pressure there. His shields have gone down a bit. Thank you for the raid, Spoon. Much appreciated. And I think everybody is on attack from Hutts with reasonable or full ordnance by this point. Remember, Basiphus has just come back out, so that's actually quite powerful for the damage output. But usually the problem with running triple bomber is the ions. Yeah, and beta, yeah. And Julius has just come back out as well, so he can immediately get on that farm. But I think Rediak will go down here. Not quite, but... Oh no, he does go down. Okay. So that's pretty big. Again, Cartel stopping that farm from Rediak. So Hellporgs here really needed to protect that farmer, even though Julius was coming back out on the field. Losing Rediak, I mean, he might not have had all the ordnance because he survived the whole opening phase, but you know, like a cheeky little resupply here would have put him right back into it, and he could immediately go and farm. So let's see how long it takes for the Cartel to get the shields down here. Oh, on board with me. Ooh. But they pick up a kill on Radiance, so that's our support down. I don't think Beacon's got put out. And as you can see, we are struggling with the shields here. And they pick up another kill on Spoon as well. So that's a bomber and support down. So that's huge from Hellporgs, considering that they've lost one farmer. So to be able to switch that pace to go for more PK is really, really good. And then the farm starts coming in as well. So I think for most of this, Sheriff isn't actually pressured. Okay, so the shields go down at 29-28. Now, regardless of whether you're using an ion torp or double ion missile plus support lasers, you should see the shields go down at like the tippy top competitive level. You should see the shields go down on the first frigate at the 29-38 to 29-40 mark, because you need to actually get there, and then you need to apply the damage as well. But we didn't have marks. Sorry, the Hutt Cartel didn't have marks, and they didn't have the ion lasers from the support. So that's quite significant in getting down those shields. But what it could mean is... What you saying, Spoon? I am down here, so I made the decision to come back out with my defender and bring an ion missile. Yeah. So that's actually a really, really good decision, because it means that if the phase flips whilst everybody else is on the attack, then it means the Spoon can come out and he can either use that ion missile immediately on somebody coming for the Empire's frigates, or he can use it for the Raider. Either way, it's quite versatile, it's quite useful, and it's just a decent decision. But it was really, really good to see Hellporgs pick up those 2 kills. It just gives them a lot more breathing room, because the damage output is so much less from the Cartel at this point. And then what you do tend to see is at some point during the first offensive, of a team, they try and get both shields down on the frigates, and then try and get at least one of the frigates down to out of phaseable. Morale's still in favor of the cartel here. Sheriff with decent ordnance, stripping those turrets. So that's good. And remember, I don't know if everybody was here for this, but in my previous... well, I say previous, this is an analysis game, but in my previous video where I did Super Secret Squadron Secrets, which I've also uploaded to YouTube now, and that's available for everyone. That's on the Rottingham YouTube channel. I illustrate and I describe there how it's the bomber's job to take out the turrets. And there's two very specific points on the Nebulons, and there's two very specific points on the cruisers to take out those turrets. Obviously, it's a lot easier to take it out on the Imperial cruisers, but the approach is essentially the same. It's just that the profile of the frigate that you're attacking changes. And they pick up another kill on Bacifus there, so that's huge. So they actually pick up 3 kills in this defensive phase. I know it's taken quite a while to actually get through each of the phases, but there's a lot to kind of go over. I would like to see more farm. I think there was a pack and a half maybe that's been had so far, but at this point, considering the morale's there, I don't know what the raider is on, but if the raider's high, then Hellporgs need to be going for the AI here rather than the raider. If it's low, then everybody just needs to be piling onto that. Okay, so they took the raider after getting a few AI as well, and that was pretty big for the cartel because they took out one of the bombers just as it flipped, and the cartel took Charlie to half. Didn't get the shields down on Delta though, so that was a mistake there. That was a mistake. The shields should have gone down, but there was 3 deaths, so it does make it difficult if you want to dish out the damage versus taking the shields down. So there's a trade-off there. It's like what's the decision there that you want to do? Do you want to dish out the damage, even though you're just with 2 of you and Lumen was our jungle, so essentially just the sheriff for quite a while there, just dealing out the damage, and essentially the objective is to get Charlie out phaseable. Now, in the time that was available, that wasn't doable. So Sheriff probably should have switched to taking Delta's shields out at this point, or earlier in the offense. Probably as soon as Charlie's shields went down, actually, because that was when Radiant and Spoon were still out of the fight, and they weren't there to be able to help that. Okay, so we've got Hellporgs on the attack now. Bacifus lining up his first pack, which is good. And we see Plus JB immediately coming in for the ion missile. Gets that off. Cheeto has a bonk here after being under pressure. Is he ioned there? I think he might be ioned. Comes in. No chaff. Yeah, it does get ion. Smashes into it. I can't tell. Did he get beacons off there? Didn't see if he got beacons off. Yes, I think he got beacons off there. You see how that morale just went like crazy quick just there. So the first pack of AI starts to come in. Not a full pack, but still there. Then there's a second pack. Then there's more AI. Then there's another kill. And the morale is already at half, and the shields on Charlie are not down. Their support has gone down on Hellporgs. So Hellporgs here really need to kind of band together to get these shields down and to start stripping those turrets and start dishing out the damage. Like, they've got the damage players up, so they can do it if they commit to it. It's just how much that they can get done in the time, because morale is half, and all of the cartel is up. All of them are doing their jobs right now. Okay, so shields go down in 22. You see that there? This isn't like a technical thing, it's just an annoyance I have. There. You see how the turret is red? I don't get that. And I know a lot of players don't actually get that. It's really annoying. Especially when you're attacking like shield gens and stuff. Because it just gives you... It gives you a slight advantage when you're attacking the MC. Because you know how the MC has got like weird... Yeah, I've never had it since like week 1 either. There was an oh no, actually I tell a lie. There was an update in like March where I had it for about 4 different games. And that was it. I've never had it again. But it is an advantage when you're attacking the MC because it gives you a perfect outline, plus it's red for the shield jets. And as bombers, as defenders, as whatever, you're coming in. I think it's tied to film grain for I don't have film grain on though. Maybe that's worth exploring then, just to see if there is a like weird setting that's affecting it. But I know for a lot of players that this is really, really annoying. And yes, it puts you at a disadvantage. It's not a huge one, but it's enough. So yeah, that was my annoyance. Okay, so Goliaths are coming in, turrets are being stripped, Charlie's going down. Morale hasn't changed much in 15 seconds. Oh, okay, so we see a bit more now. There's a bit of a bigger pack coming in. Was that a dumbfire from Julius there? I have to go back and see that. A little bit of Delta Shield starting to be whittled down. Don't know what from, though. We'll just watch Julius here. Yeah, a dumbfired Goliath there. That was a huge mistake. I don't know why. Unless he was offensively farming, that makes no sense. Or maybe he was offensively farming. There was a pack above. Let's see if the morale changes. No, morale doesn't move. I don't know. That was a misclick or something, but that was definitely a big mistake there. Costs you a lot of damage. So Goliath to 1,000 plus the damage from taking out the turrets. Now the turrets on the frigates and the cruisers are worth 1% each, so that's why it's worth firing Goliaths at it, because the Goliaths will take it out plus do the damage to the hull. But yeah, if you've got people shooting lasers into the turrets, then the only reason that makes sense is for off-phasing. And the bombers are not available, or they've got no Goliaths left. Like, that's the only time that actually makes sense. What happened here? Okay, so the cartel... The farm was really slow here, so it hit half. So it goes like really, really quickly here. Boom, boom, kill... Boom, more AI. Right, so it's like 26. It hits half-ish. 1 or 2 points difference. And then nothing happens. Okay, so you got like 8 seconds there where stuff happens. But that was just 1 or 2 AI. Now we're at 15 seconds and the morale basically hasn't shifted. A little bit more. It's like they're coming in 1 by 1. That's really slow. But we should have seen 1 pack, 2 pack, like, all come in there. That was not great. The farming could have been a lot better on this defense. Like, you can see them all there. There's 2 packs just there, and they're not being touched. Oh, there was a little bit of morale gain there. So maybe the Goliath was offensively farming. Where is that? Points. +1? Yeah, +1 there. So I think the Goliath may have been used to try and offensively farm there, which is also an interesting tactic that you can use, but I mean, it's a lot easier than getting a kill. It's 5 points, because when you're on an attack, a kill is only worth 5 points, and a pack of AI is also worth 5 points. So it's easier, but is it worth it? Questionable. But I do think that you can introduce offensive farming in a manner that would actually work. I think there is a strategy there that could be implemented. Now, I've worked on this a couple of times over the past 6 months, and I really like the idea of offensively farming, but it's it's you know, because the meta at the minute is OBJ race. So in order to offensively farm at the same time, you're sacrificing quite a lot of damage output for that. So it's a toss-up, but I think there is a little bit of movement in there. So they pick Cartel, pick up a kill on Rediac now. But overall, what's happened in essentially 15, 20, 30 seconds, maybe even longer, 35 seconds, is that there's only been one pack of AI, effectively. Like, that's really bad, because it's allowed Hellporgs to get Charlie out phaseable. Now, I think the Raider goes down here from memory, but still, it's at 24, 23. Yeah, okay, so the Raider drops there. But that could have been a hell of a lot better defense from Cartel there. But Cartel have switched up now, yeah. So Spoonie said earlier that he switched out to a defender with an ion missile. So he's got that, and we see the out of phase does happen for Hellporgs. They did commit to that, which is... it can be good and bad. You've got both frigates up, but Bravo's probably going to go down here, so it's just not really cancelling out. Sorry, it's kind of cancelling out the morale, so it doesn't really do anything. The shields on Alpha do drop really quickly, though, so that's good from the Cartel. But I think a lot of the Hellporgs at this point are actually out of position. Yeah, you see that? No, sorry. So I think that was the plan, maybe, to just... Did a dunk go out on Radiant there? Yeah, dunk, and then just death. So that's really, really good. It denies marks on the way in. But, you know, when you're the Empire and you're attacking the Nebulons, it's not... If the shields are down, then it's not critical to get off the beacons, because the bombers just dish out so much damage. And if you've got the occasional defender, like, chuck in a torp or conch or missile and lasers at it, then it just goes down like no tomorrow. But they picked up the kill, they got the out of phase, that's quite powerful. Sets them up. Sheriff's in a lot of trouble here, he's trying to get out. Pack of AI does come in as well, but Julius goes down as well. So they're denied that farm, or at least half the farm, because that puts a lot of pressure on Rediac then now to perform. But he does answer with a pack of AI, which is good. Damage output is kind of stalled a bit for the Cartel here. That's not great. And another kill on Basiphus there. So again, 3 kills on this defensive phase for Hellporgs. That's a lot. So they did it 3 kills in the first one and 3 kills in the second. That's too many. That is way too many. Cartel need to work on their evasion skills for that. That's 30 points of morale, which is like 40% of the bar. That's too much. That's way, way too much to give away like that. I know there were a number of kills on Hellporgs as well, but yeah, if you want to tighten up your game, just don't die. It's like the first thing that you learn playing this game. If you don't die, then you're not giving away morale. Like, it's huge. Okay, so the morale massively in favor of Hellporgs here. If they take down this Raider, then it will flip. Oh, one point difference. Sorry, 1 AI. But both frigates are out of phaseable here. Now, this is where things get interesting, if I remember correctly. So that one's at 9. They're both out of phaseable. And the Cartel here decide... Rediac's low. If he goes down, that's damage gone from them as well. But Rediac's trying to resupply under a frigate that's been taken out, and as a result also gets taken out. So that's huge. But what is Radiant doing? I don't care what Radiant's doing. No, it's really interesting, to be honest. Like, Radiant's actually come out in the... When did he come out in the Defender? I think after he died on the... Yeah, so he goes down on this offensive. And then comes out in a Defender. So the Cartel don't actually have a support at this point. This is interesting. It means that they're essentially going for either heavy PK or they're going for heavy DPS. And it's one of the cartel's strengths is to be able to switch mid-game what we're doing. And that will happen quite a lot. But only when it's necessary. Like it's really, really well calculated. But yeah. I do like those kind of decisions. They are fun, and they keep the enemy team guessing as well, which is really, really important. It's like, wait, why isn't there a support on the field? Why don't they have a support? What's going on? It's just a bit of that meta game. It does things to your opponents. So he comes out in a defender, stays in it, stays in it, stays in it. Okay, so here we've got the flip again. So we're 4 minutes into the game now, which is quite a long time. You'll see it at the high level. Some games are over in 3 minutes 30, which is just nuts. Which, personally, I don't like the state of it. I think the settings could be tweaked quite a lot to be able to allow more creative plays rather than just an OBJ race. Because it becomes... I mean, there's a few tricks and things that are involved around it and stuff, but overall, it becomes quite one-dimensional, which means that the Empire always wins because they've got higher DPS and they're faster. Like, that's just how it works. And we saw that in the championship, 60-40. 60-40. I think the actual number was 37% of the time the Rebels won, which is huge. Like, it just shows that there's such a big difference in damage output for the current meta. Now, I'd like to see some changes in settings for this. Not necessarily like the banning of components or certain ships or the way that you do things, but I think there are some higher level settings that could be tweaked that would make the game a lot more interesting, a lot more cinematic, and a lot more strategic. And I know that Gonk has been playing around with that kind of stuff. Been helping him a little bit. Orange Squadron and the Cartel have got a really good relationship. And we love playing around, trying new things, and seeing what we can do with this kind of stuff. So, yeah, if you want to try out some interesting settings to see if the game could be improved, then hang out in the Orange Squadron, see what they've got to say, see what they've got to show. But it's really, really cool. Okay, so back to the analysis. We've got Rediac coming here under the Nebulon to try and get resupply, but we see the 1 out of phase has already happened. Second out of phase happens then, and as a result, because everybody's there, Rediac also goes down. So the morale is half, and the attack has currently gone on for... what was it? So that was 26-6. $15 seconds, 16 seconds, and you're looking at half morale already. An argument could have been made that the cartel should have waited until their frigate was down to start working on the out phases, but you can see that the decision here was to immediately melt the raider, which gives another 20 points of morale, which also means that the passive damage is not being applied to their last frigate. I guess Jido couldn't resupply. I don't know. I don't know where Jido was at this point. Maybe he was on his way to the Imperial cruiser. So that meant that he couldn't actually turn around and help Rediac. But Rediac should have also noticed that the Nebulons were out of phaseable and that parking underneath them was a really bad decision. So that was quite a bad individual decision there. He should have either tried to meet Jido halfway so that he can get a resupply, or he should have gone back to the MC. Now, we're on board with Bacifus here, and you can actually see near the middle there is actually a dumbfired resupply between Bacifus and the cruiser. So maybe that was the intention. It's just Rediac couldn't get there because he was under pressure almost instantly, but Yeah, that decision definitely cost quite a lot of the attack. Because now they're down to 4, and the support can only beacon. They can't really do anything because they're running ion primaries. Julius is half already, and Cheeto and plus JB have taken a little bit of damage from the looks of it as well. But the important thing here is that the Hutts have got morale at half. Raiders about to drop because they all jumped on it. So it's going to be another 20 points of morale. There you go. So now it's just a case of 1 pack of AI and a kill, or just a little bit of AI and a kill, or 2 AI packs. Doesn't matter. Like, if they get this now, they can flip it before that cruiser goes down. Bit of AI comes in there. I don't think that they get it before it goes down, though. Dumbfire coming out from Jido there. Rediak is back on the field. Yeah, so I can't remember if... Oh, no, that was it. Yeah, because I was... Was I looking at it there? I think the decision was made to wait for the cruiser to go down and then for the farm to come in. So the 2 farmers on the cartel, the 2 farmers on the cartel were waiting for the frigate to be taken out so that they could instantly farm. And you can see the morale going up massively there. Well, not massively, it just incremented slightly, but then it went really, really slow. So maybe that wasn't the decision, which again was a mistake from the cartel there, but they pick up a kill on Jido on the support, so it balanced out. But the farm really should have been there at that point for the cartel. That was a mistake from them as well. But the shields do go down on the ISD, but JB's down, Jido's down, Rediak's down, Julius is down. The MC75 is open. Everybody's gone back in for the cartel to resupply. And in come the approaches to take out these shield gens. Okay, so everybody's back on the field almost for... Oh, Radiant, what was that? What was that? I'm gonna back that up. I'm gonna back that up. That's a cheeky little bonk. I mean, you're at 84 now. And then, bonk! 75, and you only get 1 conk off. Oh no, you get the clusters off as well, so fair enough. But the clusters really should be doing more damage than that. I think your approach here needs a little bit of work. And then Spoon comes in, tries to take this out. The morale still massively in favor for the cartel here. So when does it actually flip? 46-ish. Then... Jesus Christ. 30 seconds in and the first shield gen goes down. Does the second one go down? Did the other one go down as well? Oh, it was disabled. Okay. So it took the cartel 30 seconds to get in and take the shield gens down. That's huge. He did it on purpose. But at the same time, it's also taken Hellporgs 30 seconds to sort out some kind of pack. Like, morale is about, well, almost 50% at the moment. Targeting will go down soon, I think. But overall, reasonably solid attack from the cartel. As soon as those shields go down, you can see the damage getting input into it, though. When does the shield go down? I think the other shield gen gets destroyed. Oh, was that immediately afterwards? So it's disabled. Right shield gen enabled. Left shield gen destroyed. Okay. So that was at about 23:58 that it went. That the shields went down, and then immediately the damage just starts pouring in. Sheriff probably stayed there a little bit too long trying to take out targeting. Should have moved a bit, but looking at like 60% hull. Closer to 50 now. Weak spot down. Looking at 40. Morale is still half. I'm not sure what's happening with the farm here for Hellporgs. I could see packs coming in there, but they're just not. They're not happening. Everything's kind of stalled for them. And Rediak and Julius are up. Like, you can see that just top right-hand window, the packs there, but I don't know what happened for the bombers. I mean, I know we run in a jungle to pressure that, but you know, when the cartel's on MC attack like this, they really should be shooting the hull, and I think that's what Lumen was doing, because now he's looking for that ion into power, which at this stage of the game, considering it's well, yeah, like 10% down to 5 now, it's really not worth it. Okay, so the Raider gets melted, and that's it. So how could this defense have gone better? So they lost all Hellporgs lost all 4 players on the ISD attack, right? So that gives the cartel a lot of breathing room to just go in, resupply if they need to, and come back out and just immediately tank those shield gens down. Now the distances are still quite big because the ships have not started to bank towards each other just yet. Not started that turn, but farm Rediac comes out when? Okay, so Rediac and Julius come out basically at the same time. But I think Velian plus JB and Judo were all out. Yeah, so marks go out there. Farm should already start to be coming in because the so I mentioned this a while ago as well in my super secret strat stream thing, but I'll mention it again here. The AI don't actually move. It's everything else that moves around them. So you've got the opening engagement flight paths, right? That's a specific one. And then after that, what you've got is you've got the defensive and offensive flight paths for each side. And that's it. Like they will be in the first stages of the game, they will be on top of the frigate. And towards the latter stages of the game, depending on map, what will happen is they will be mingling around the flagships, or they will stay where they were on a map like Nadiri. They'll stay trying to fly around those central columns. So it's really, really important to know because it helps you understand how to farm. Helps you understand where the lanes are and where you need to go to be able to pick up that farm. It determines how aggressive, how defensive you can be. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of people think that just farming is like, oh yeah, you just find a pack and pew it. It's like, no. There's a lot of nuances to knowing the paths, where they're going, when they break up, when they don't break up. And also if you want to offensively farm as well, which is so fun. But that's another time. But yeah, so it takes them how long? So they come out when? They come out now, so 15. Okay, so they are immediately on the farm, which is good. Takes them 10 seconds to get the first pack-ish. But then nothing. And I'm proven wrong. Okay, so they get that second pack. It looks like they got part of a third pack as well, and they got that quite quickly. That was in the first 20 seconds. But I think at this point, was there a call made to burn the Raider or something? Because the key thing when you're defending a flagship is, yes, the players can dish out a lot of damage, but the the Raider, regardless of distance. Obviously, it's got its lasers on it, but its turrets are more for just annoying players. If the Raider is on the field, it will apply passive damage to the target that it's approaching. Now, this is true for frigates or flagships. And it's quite a lot of damage. I think it's like 1% every 2 seconds. Or 1%, no, it's 1% every 4 seconds because it couples with the passive damage from the flagship. So you've got 1% damage every 2 seconds happening to your flagship, which, as the phase ticks over, is quite a long time. Now, a lot of teams can take out a flagship that's got its shields down in somewhere between a minute and less than a minute. So like between 40 seconds and a minute. Right. So That's 30% damage over the course of that time. So there needs to be an understanding of when and where to actually take out the raider. Obviously, on a defense like this, it's difficult, especially when you're coming up against Empire, because again, they could just dish the damage out like crazy quickly. But 30% is a lot. It's a lot of damage being applied. So if the defending team are not on that, which judging from the look of that frigate, yeah, they were on it, but they just did it way too late. Like, if you've got a full 5 stack coming at you and they're planning on taking those shield gens, you ain't stopping them. They are taking those shield gens. And when they're on target, or when they reach the target, the shield gens that is, it's going to take them... top teams, it takes less than 10 seconds to take both shield gens, because it's a coordinated attack. Yeah, they... I think one of the big mistakes for Porgs was that they tried to steamroll through. So if we go back a bit here. So, okay, so here we see that Porgs are actually in pretty good shape here. All 5 of them are up. They're about to attack the Hutt Cartel's ISD, right? And it's so low. It's so low. Raider's already been taken out by this point, I remind you. Delta is really, really low here. So they have a choice. Do they steamroll through with 5 of them, knowing that when the phase flips, they're going to have to either die, they're going to have to suicide so that they can get back to their MC quicker, or do they fall back and take the frigate for an out phase? Given the status of the morale, it would have been a much better decision to force the cartel to either try and come in and dogfight out of their territory, or have someone on Porgs come in and suicide. Just get everybody to fall back, resupply if necessary, and just wait. Because you can get those 15 points of morale, and the 15 points of morale when you're on a flagship defense is huge. But unfortunately, I don't know if it was a misfired conk or if it was just bad timing or lack of communication or something, but they decided to try and steamroll through, but the farm was there and there was a kill, and then because everybody was on the ISD, because the key thing for this is they're actually making their approaches on the ISD at this point, and the morale is about to flip. It's a poor decision, because at the end of the day, what are you going to do here? What's the objective for each phase? That's something that I tell the cartel constantly. What's the actual objective? What's the thing that you're actually trying to achieve for this particular phase, whether it be a defense or an offense? And in this particular offense from Porgs, they could say that the objective is to take down both shield jets, but with that amount of morale against 2 farmers that are up, and it's just not happening. Everybody's still trying to make their approaches. Like, Judo's here. He's still 1,200 from the actual flagship, so he's actually closer to 1,500 away from the actual shield gen. Make them boom. Yeah. So what they really should have done is said, okay, we're probably not going to be able to take both shield gens here. What we need to do is fall back and try and make the best of a bad situation. Like, I play poker a lot, right? So, and there's a thing in poker where a lot of inexperienced players will say something like, oh, I'm pot committed. And here's the thing. If you're pot committed, which means that you're facing down a bet, but you've already put in like 90% of your chips, 90% of your money, right? That's usually what people say when they say they're pot committed. To say, oh, I've only got to put in the last 10%, and, you know, I might win, even though I know that I'm behind. And behind means that you currently have the losing hand. But if you had the exact same situation where you had 90% of your money in the pot, and you were facing down a bet, but you could see their whole cards. You could see the cards in their hand, and you knew that you were losing, or you knew that you'd already lost, then you wouldn't do it. It's stupid. It's the same thing here. I think it's the same thing here. What's happened is the Hellporgs, for whatever reason, whether it be a mistake or an actual call, have taken the frigate. And what it feels like to me, and I could be wrong, what it feels like to me is now they feel like they're pot committed. So they have to charge in. They have to get something out of it because a mistake happened. No. You need to fall back so you can prep your defense. And if you prep your defense, then you're in good stead to actually flip the phase and then go on the attack. Because a lot of teams these days, it doesn't take long for them to just one phase a flagship. It really doesn't. You can one phase a flagship with shields up in a minute 20. It's not difficult. It doesn't take a long time. But you have to set up for it. And if you're not set up, it's never going to happen. So this is why things went wrong for their flagship attack and defense. Because first thing was the Raider. Second thing was they didn't pull back. And third thing is they all died. Velian was the only one who was able to get out. Everybody else died. So they lose support for shields, for beacons. They lose their farmers. They lose their farmers for 20 seconds. Now, at this point, nothing's happening for 20 seconds, but it allows the cartel to get on top of the shield gens before they get out the hangar. And it's a lot more difficult to defend something when they're on top of it versus when they're actually approaching it. It's so much more difficult. Like, it's not even close. And they just couldn't recover. They really couldn't recover. Not to mention the cartel's got, like, crazy good melting abilities on the flagships. But yeah, that's game one. I'm sorry it's taken an hour, but I like to go through things in depth. And I say I like to. Well, this is the first one I've done. Let me know what you think. I mean, I'm going to go through the second game now. We'll go through the scoreboard quickly, though. Like, the PK was there. So there was one random kill at some point. But you remember when we went over the first defensive phase for Hellporgs, they got 3 kills. And then on their second defensive phase, they also got 3 kills. That was huge. That was really, really big. Those were really strong defenses. But after that, it's just 1. It's just 1. But Velian, 4-0. Really, really good there. Staying alive. Rediak and Julius, opposite way round. Still, the farm was decent, but it wasn't quick enough and it wasn't at the right time. And I can say that about both sides. Rediak, Julius, Sheriff, Pacificus. It's just, they are decent numbers throwing up, but they're at the wrong time and they're not fast enough. Damage output was reasonable from both sides, to be honest. Rediak falling behind slightly. Just weird because he was in the bomber, but I think he died a number of times when he was on like critical attacks. So that severely impacted his damage output. Jido and Lumen didn't have much, but then again, he was jungling, so there's not too much damage to be had there, although it was still a mistake to only have 5k. He really should be pushing closer to 15 to 25. Helping out with the Raider, helping out with damage output on the flagship. Like, it makes a hell of a difference. Hell of a difference. But Radiant with 27k, even though he was support for most of that game, still came out with big numbers, or reasonable numbers on the damage output. Yeah, if Hellporgs would have just kept that frigate, then they would have been in with a chance to defend that. Let's try and get into the second one. Because Radiant, amazing. Yeah, something like that. little bit too quick. More bow tie, yeah. Alright, give me a second. Just have a couple of seconds break, and then we'll be back. Okay, we ready for part 2? Are we ready for part 2? Let's get this going. Okay, so Hutt Cartel have secured the first win. We know the results, but hey ho. Hutt's on Rebels this time. Porgs on the Empire. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got Rebels, Hutts, Sheriff Bomber, Spoon Bomber, Basiphus Bomber, Triple Bomber again. Lumen in X-Wing and Radiant in support. Judo support. Rediak and Julius in bombers. Velian plus JB in defenders. Alright, let's go. So we spoke about the cloud cover here for this bottom right hand pack. So you see Sheriff setting up for that there. Julius going high, it seems. See, there's a weird... Let me just back that up a second. Sheriff's point of view... There. It's difficult to tell when you pause it, but that bottom right-hand pack for the Rebels is shagged, right? It comes... It doesn't... Like, all the AI are there, but not all together. One of the AI just either doesn't spawn for a long time or just decides to go get a Mackie D's or something and then come back. But even though that bottom right-hand pack is the first pack that is going to be hit, and by that I mean that it's the closest pack, it's the one that's in front, it's the closest to the Rebels. It does only have 4, but it is always better to fire off your Goliath first, because otherwise what you're doing is, if you have to get 2 packs, or even if you just have to get the first pack, you are still adding an extra 4 to 5 seconds for the additional lock-ons of the multi-lock, which slows down your farm, which at the top level means flipping the phase or not flipping the phase. So it's actually quite big. It's really, really big. Okay, so everybody's lining up their packs. Cheeto looking to get off marks. 32 seconds in. Marks come out. Ions are starting to go. First pack goes down for Hutts at minute 28, minute 29. That's to be honest, that's a little bit slow. It should be like 31, but Rebels are slower. But I would have also expected Porgs to be hitting their packs by now. There you go. So they get the first pack, and then this second pack also comes in, and they pick up a kill. So this is huge. So they pick up a kill on Basiphus here. And then the morale kind of stalls for a bit. Okay, so second pack comes in for the cartel, answered with a couple of random AI here and there. Radiant getting heavy ion damage, does balance his layers as shields, but does get taken out as well. Okay, so here, one AI for Porgs, and they get this opening phase. Basiphus is down, Radiant's down, there's only 3 people on the field. Sheriff, Spoon, and Lumen. Whilst Porgs have basically been untouched. Really shouldn't be going down like that in the opening phase. And need to be applying a lot more pressure to Porgs than Cartel does. Cartel really needs to be applying a lot more pressure here. That being said, the Cartel answer with a pack of AI. That shifts the morale quite a lot, but then again, a couple of rogue AI for Porgs. Spoon trying to take out some of the shields there. You get a bit more AI coming in, a bit more again. It's just, it's not these full packs for Porgs. I'm not sure why they were unable to flip this phase with the farm. They were basically uninterrupted because it's a 3v5. Like, they really, really should have had this. It's really interesting. Another pack for Hutt Cartel here. And then again, just one or two AI for Porgs. And then there we see a big jump. Velian gets taken out under pressure from Lumen and possibly someone else. And then also another AI pack which shifts the bar in favor of the cartel. And another kill. Quick successions here. Quick successions. This is crazy. It goes from like nothing to everything. Super, super quick. So we'll check out the kills here. Velian just goes straight down, as does Judo. I think it was Ion dunked and then down. And then a bit more AI comes in. A couple more. A pack for Porgs here. Trying to line up another pack from Rediak here. Picked up another kill. Julius goes down this time. So now it's a 2v5. It's completely flipped. Raiders are starting to be melted as well, but the AI comes in for the cartel and they take the offensive. Hellpogs really should have had this open. I'm not sure why the morale just didn't shift for them. Hey, Evo. Yeah, maybe they just used the multi-locks and didn't clean it up with the rotaries or standards that they'd been running on the TIE bombers. My personal approach for AI when using multi-locks is if it's a full pack, then I will... and this is actually quite a fun thing to do, I think, when you're Empire, is because of the way that the AI are on Rebels, i.e. that flying V. What it means is that you can either get in front of them or get behind them, and you can just go from right to left or left to right and just use your rotary and just take off whatever amount of damage that you want into their hull, into their shields, right? And then the multi-locks can pick up the rest. But at the very least, what I try and do is secure at least one, and then the multi-locks will take out the rest. But, you know, multi-locks, as we know, are a little bit hit and miss. So it's difficult to predict that, but if you're dishing out the damage on them anyway, then it should be fine. But I think that's what Hellporgs missed here. They didn't continue with the rotary damage, or they didn't continue with the laser damage as well as the multi-locks. It cost them the open. It was massively in their face for a while. Where do we see? So, okay, so here we go. It's like a minute 24. I think there was a couple of exchanges of packs of AI. There's one. I think it's at the point where Radiant down again. There's more exchanges of AI. Radiant goes down. Okay, at this point. So you got minute 10. And then there's a little bit of back and forth. But there's no additional kill, even though it's a 3v5. I think Bacifus might just be back on the field at this point. 20 seconds. They're not able to get the flip so far. It's just allowed Cartel to get so much more AI. But you could just see it, like pack after pack after pack. It's not actually packs for Hellporgs. It's 1s and 2s and maybe a 3. But they're either split for some unknown reason, or they're being pressured, or the multi-locks are hitting and they're not getting them in. But I'm not seeing big numbers from Goliaths. I should be seeing big numbers from Goliaths here. Their opening farm definitely needed improvements though. And then it was just double kill and farm from Hutts that took it down. You can see him lining up the pack there. You can see Radiac lining up the pack. And that's 4 there. And I can't see it, but Goliath must have gone off at that point. And we should be able to see it come in about now. Or not. Maybe he was looking at it and it just didn't happen. I don't know what was happening there. Radiac should have committed to that AI. Maybe there was a call for burning the Raider instead. I know both Raiders were pretty low at this point, but still, it's just a couple of better decisions there would have made it. Yeah, he was turning back, so I think there was potentially some messy comms or just overlapping bits of information there that might have confused people. So that's a difficult one. But now we see the cartel on the attack. Julius is down. He's about to come back at the hangar. Rediak's the only bomber on the field, so he really needs to apply the pressure on the morale bar with this AI. It also means that because we got jungle, it's quite open season for Lumen. Because if there is only one bomber, then he's only got one bomber to worry about. And here we see all the beginnings of some AI coming in for Porgs, and the shields are about to start taking damage from the cartel. We go half. The Cephas needs to balance his shields. Needs to balance his shields. There we go. Needs to balance his shields. Gets Ion, probably gets taken out. How long did it take for those shields to go down then? Okay, so again, 31. So we're still... Cartel's still missing somewhere between 6 and 10 seconds. 6 and 9 seconds. 6 and... Yeah, 10 seconds of shields going down quicker. Everybody was up by this point as well, so they really should have gone down quicker. But at this particular point, Bocephus is under a lot of pressure, so he can't continue to put the damage in. A little bit of shields started to work on Delta, pick up a kill. There's still no AI by this point. Like, with 36 seconds into the phase, Rediak has not been taken out, and there is no AI coming out. Here we go. There's 1 or 2 again. It's not a full pack. The Spoon also gets taken out at that point. So they picked up 2 kills and like 2 AI. This puts the cartel in a precarious situation here. Lumen pressure in Judo. Again, just a couple of AI, nothing huge. And it looks like nobody's actually working on the radar at this point as well, which needs to happen. Those shields need to drop quickly when you're on the defense. So you can either melt it quickly, so it can stop applying the passive damage that we spoke about earlier, or you can use it to flip the phase when you line up either a kill or a pack of AI at the same time. And that's 30 or 35 points of morale, which is close to half a bar, right? But even though Bocephus and Spoon went down, we can still see a lot of damage being applied to Charlie. Now, some of it's passive from the Raider, as I mentioned, but you've got the Sheriff and Radiant dishing out the damage here, because Lumen here is still trying to go for those PKs. Switch probably should have been made for Lumen to start dishing out some damage on the cruisers instead. It would have helped a lot. Everything would have gone a lot quicker for the cartel at this point. But as we can also see, Radiant has again switched out from support and gone to an X-Wing. Trying to help out with that damage output there. And I'm not sure what Spoon is going to come out in here. Spoon comes out in an X-Wing as well. Lumen looks like he's about to go down. Raider still not really being worked on. Cruiser is at 34, so it's dangerously close to becoming outphaseable. I think Lumen... Yeah, okay, so Lumen just goes down there. So again, it's a really, really consistent for Porgs. They've picked up 3 kills in this defensive phase. 3 kills. They've picked up almost 40%-ish of the morale bar just from kills. Raider hasn't been burnt. So the rest of it's come from AI. Which is good, but at the same time, it should have flipped a long time ago from AI. If you've got 2 kills on the board already, then you should either just immediately melt the Raider, get those extra 20 points, and then you just need 25, which is less than 2 packs. Waiting for that 3rd kill at this stage is probably a mistake. Especially considering Lumen wasn't really outputting the damage onto the frigate anyway. You either switch targets to maybe Sheriff, or I think Bocephus and Spoon have just come back onto the field, so either Sheriff or Radiant. But the farm definitely needs to be improved for Hellporgs when they're on Empire. On this map. I don't know what it's like on the rest of the maps. Okay, and then they get another kill. There you go. Sheriff goes down. The pressure gets applied, and he goes down. It's at 30, 29, 22. So it is out of phaseable at this point. But the cartel really need to be thinking about doing their defensive side. So this is where Basiphus needs to stop attacking the frigate, unless the call has been made to out of phase, in which case all the lasers help, as long as he doesn't use his ordnance, because that will become useful for the AI that's going to come in as soon as he turns around. A multi-lock there is fine. I don't mind that at all. A multi-lock is fine. Because you do get 5. They don't take crazy long to regen. Sorry, to cooldown. And it still mean. Oh, he did fire off the Goliath as well. The Goliath's a mistake. Because that needed to be kept for the AI. He should have got off his ordnance and then just got out of there. Like, with the multi-locks, because you fire off 4 of them as well. If you're not hitting turrets, you're doing 3k of damage. Which is nuts. I don't know if the Goliath did get chaffed. There's a lot of stuff going on here. See, that's weird. If you see here, watch this on the way in. You see that there? There's one of the TIE bombers, either Rediak or Julius, is actually still shooting the Raider. Mistake. Like, if the Raider is reasonably high, if it's definitely if it's still got shields, and the morale looks like we wait for the kill on Sheriff. There's some AI. At that point, leave the bloody Raider alone. Go get some AI. It's wasted energy. What's your objective there? You're going to try and take the Raider before it flips? Like, it doesn't make sense. That doesn't work. You're just wasting time, munitions, positioning. Could have got resupplied, could have done loads of other stuff. Oh, it did get 20 points though, so maybe it did get taken out. Not quite sure. Oh, I think the Goliath did get chaffed there. But because of the passive damage, it will still apply to the frigate. That 1000 damage will still apply to the frigate. Nice, balance your shields and shield skip out of there. Okay, so when did what was it, 35? No, it was loaded later than that. 41. 41 is when it flips. So you got that 7.5 second transition. Shouldn't have fired off the Goliath. Comes back. And Alpha starts taking damage on its shields. Julius is half health. Sheriff is down. Lumen's down. Both are about to come back out. Critical for Basiphus to stay alive at this point because he's the only farmer on the field for the cartel. And shields on Alpha get wrecked extremely quickly there. Not an ion torp. Would have done more damage, but I think that's double ion missile. Yeah, so you got 2 ion missiles going off on that, plus continuing laser damage and stuff. And this is where we start to see some farm from Basiphus, which is good. The out phase happened as well, also good. Julius in a bad situation here, and bonks. Really got to be careful about bonking on stuff. Like, and the cartel, like every team do this. It's weird. Don't bonk. Just don't bonk. It's not good. Like, there are certain ways that you can bonk and not take damage, but personally, I think that that's dumb. And in terms of settings for whether it's SCL matches or something else, what I would like to see is if you crash into stuff, I'd like to see, you know, a multiplier being applied to that. Instead of it just being 1, don't bonk bounce, sheriff bounce. The sheriff bounce is a different thing altogether. That's multi-drifting. But I would like to see, because it's on a scale from 0.1 to 5 times damage if you bonk on stuff. So I'd really like to see that turned up to 5. Because I think teams would play quite differently if that was the case. Oh yeah, skiing. Yeah, skiing is different as well. That's the thing Radiant found. It's like, oh, we need to give it a dumb name. How about skiing? That was quite funny. Oh, right. Back into this then. So it looks like Julius is about to go down. Whether he does or not, I'm not sure. He's evaded missile. He's just used chaff. Doesn't have a Goliath. Got 1 multi-lock left that's on half cooldown. And Jido is down as well. He should have got beacons off already, but not sure on that one. Might have, might not have. If he did, then his job is kind of done to a certain extent because there's still a frigate up, which means he doesn't have to go all the way back. Ah, that was it. Yeah, it was stolen from tribes. Yeah, so when you... Radiant's got a video of this on YouTube, but when you hit the hull of a ship and you're still... you've still got your drift button down, then you will kind of stick to it. Occasionally, if you're not drifting, you'll still stick to it. But what will happen is, regardless of what you do for a second or two, you'll just stick to it and just glide along the surface of it. Sometimes you'll take damage, sometimes you won't. But it just means that you're kind of stuck there for a little bit, which means that you're an easier target. Plus, your velocity is being impacted quite badly, so gotta look out for that. Shield's still looking healthy on Charlie. Delta is getting some damage down into it now. Julius and plus JB are really low. Are they going to get out? Ooh. Farm's coming in for the cartel as well. Need to flip this before it Delta gets out phaseable. Never mind, Delta is out phaseable. Raider gets taken out. That was a decently solid defense from the cartel there. How long did that take? So it was 2840 to... Okay, so less than a minute on attack. That's quite good. And it's impressive that JB and Julius were able to get out of there alive. That was really quite impressive. They are going to try and commit, or at least Valiant's trying to commit to this out phase. Oh, JB's there as well, but based on his shields, I don't know if he's going to be able to do this. Shields go down on their frigate in the meantime. And they get the out phase. Raider goes down. Okay, all the cartel is up. Radiac is down. Julius does go... Oh, did go down as well. Yeah, he did go down. Okay. So, 2 pretty big kills there on the attack. It means the farm just can't start as quickly. Got like 20 seconds before your farm can start, which is huge. We tanked the farmers on the flip. Okay. Still at 6 HP, 5. This is taking these guys a while, and the support has even had to come in to make sure that they're okay, to try and defend this. Lumen coming in to try and get a bit of damage out on there. Out of phase does happen. Meanwhile, Alpha has been taken to half, and the farm still hasn't started happening. So where do we go? We're at 2742-ish. And then the out phase happened when Alpha was at half, when it still had like half shields. So that's a lot of damage for the cartel to do in short space. Well, it wasn't that short space of time. It was still 40 seconds. But this thing is being melted now. Disabled does go out on Radiant, but I don't think there was enough coordination there from Porgs to actually finish the kill. He's staying quite evasive. And they get... Oh, I hate when that happens. The debris is still an object that hurts you. Gotta be careful for it. So Radiant had a pretty big mistake there. Didn't notice when the frigate was dying and was still trying to come in to do the damage, and as a result got stuck. A bit of skiing there, bit of skiing. Got stuck on the frigate, and that cost 10 points of morale, so we're 1 player damage output down, and the attack starts on the ISD with half morale. So I think a little bit of AI happened there. Yeah, so there's a little bit of AI coming from Hellporgs there. But again, it's not... Oh, there's a full pack. Okay. So it was a couple and then a full pack. Again, this needs to happen quicker. Much, much quicker. But at this point, actually, probably about... Back it up a little bit. Okay. Back here is when Hellporgs really need to get back to protect their shield gens. Because you need to catch people when they're making their approaches for the shield gens. That's basically the easiest time to do it. Any other time, they're not really doing it. Especially on the ISD. A lot of people still do Vander's loops. Well, basically everybody still does Vander's loops. And it's like you're sat there and you're stuck in that locked trajectory almost for a really long time. It's just, especially for a TIE bomber with rotary, like, you could just sit above that and just melt them on the way in. Absolutely melt them on the way in. So at this point, the morale isn't actually great for the cartel. Like, they'll take this, but Hellporgs really needed to put more pressure onto the Raider. They really needed to put more pressure on the Raider. Like, if they'd have taken that down by this point, then they need 1 pack of AI and it's flipped. Or close to 1 pack of AI. So they get a couple more there. Another kill on Lumen there. So that's a pretty big... pretty big number of kills for the defense there. Let's see if they pick up another, but it seems that overall at the moment, over these 2 games, Hellporgs are massively trying to rely on their PK rather than on their farm, which is a mistake on a map like this. There are times when it's useful. There are maps when it's appropriate to do so, but Hellporgs could have flipped these games so much faster if they got their AI farm in a lot earlier, a lot sooner. And if it wasn't split, again, I don't know if that's because of multi-locks and they're not committing to them with a bit of rotary damage or standard laser damage. But the full pack, the full 15 points of morale seem to be far and few between. Yeah, so the cartel actually really sucked on that attack. They had 3 people in, and they still didn't get 1 shield gen down. That's bad. When did the attack actually start? Was it 50? They had 30 seconds to get the shield gens down, and they didn't. That's a really bad attack. And then they had 2 players get taken down in the open as well. But see how the defense goes, because the frigate's still got shields. The cartel picks up a kill on JB, which is good. That relieves a bit of the PK pressure, but they really need to be focusing Jido, because he's the one that's going to be popping off beacons and resupplies. I don't know where he is at this point. Game. Sheriff dies, so that cancels out 5 points from that. Farm starts coming in as well, so this is where Basifas picked up the farm that Sheriff couldn't, because he was dead. That's good. Shields go down. And another kill. Jido goes down there. Okay, so JB went down first. Jido goes down afterwards. Now they can start working on bombers. The damage is being laid into here. Okay, Sheriff's back out in the field now, so the Sheriff and Basifas can start farming together. And Julius looks like he's in a bit of trouble, but still needs to get some damage out here. Okay, so there's a little bit of a mechanical mistake there. One, I feel like he wasn't prepared for the attack. You can see that he's got no Goliaths left, and he's only got one multi-lock. So that screams to me that he was definitely not prepared for this attack. Second thing is he's out of energy. Now, I know it looks like he's not out of energy because he's got some overcharged lasers, but because he's just shunted that out of engines, what happens is you have to wait a couple of seconds for each system to regen enough energy so that you can continue your evasive patterns or your damage output on target. But I see this a lot. I see this so much with so many players, even at the top level. They're really bad power management. And it just means that as soon as you're under pressure, then you can't maintain your evasiveness because you've got nothing left in the tank. Now, all that this is just a timing thing. It basically just means that you're shunting too quickly. Shunt slower. Like, the only time that I run out of energy in a game, in a TIE Bomber, is if I've got severe shunt lag, or if I'm using ion primaries and I'm committing too much to an objective or disabling something. That's the only time. Like, otherwise, you've got infinite energy, and I'm talking like infinite. You just need to time it correctly. Now, it takes a bit of practice, but it is doable. And once you've got it, then like all these kind of switching between engines and weapons is unnecessary because you have all of the energy that you would ever need, which is probably a bit broken, to be honest. See that? Like, he's shunting too quickly. Way too quickly. Shunt. Like, you just end up with no energy. You don't give your systems enough time to regen. Now he's in trouble. Now he can't gen. Now he can't boost, sorry. And especially if you're going to do rotary damage like that, now you definitely have no energy. He's a sitting duck. I don't know if he dies here, but he really should die here. He should be picked off. Yeah, there you go. That's what happens. As soon as you lose energy in a TIE Bomber or something like that, you are just dead. It's not happening. It's not happening. Having said all this, the overall damage output from Porgs on this frigate was quite good. You can drop a frigate in like 40 seconds or something, then that's really good. But there was a lot of farm coming in here. There was the 2 kills that the cartel picked up, and they're back on the field now. And then this 3rd kill where Julius goes down, because he didn't have the energy. He also didn't have the ordnance, so he couldn't really do much on the MC attack anyway. But now we're at the point where it's 1 pack of AI or 1 kill and a little bit of AI and it flips. And they've only just reached the shield gens. And Cartel didn't have anything to outphase here either. So Sheriff goes down here, well, ish. JB goes down first, then Sheriff, then Jido, then the Raider at some point. There's the kill on Jido. AI. No Raider? No, Raider's not been touched. Oh, Raider shields have only just gone. That's probably a mistake. That is a mistake from the cartel. That should have been worked on a lot earlier. It puts you in a interesting situation as well, where you've got your last frigate, and then you've also got the Raider up as well, when you're on defense. And the question arises of, when do you actually take the frigate? Before actually answering that question, though, the first thing that you need to do is, that any team needs to do really, is take the shields on the damn thing. That should be basically priority 1. Is always take the shields on the Raider. as soon as it spawns, if you can. That way it will take some passive damage from the frigates or the flagship, and it will also mean that that's a job done. That's an objective of that defensive phase that's been ticked off, which means that you can focus on everything else, which means that anybody else who feels the need can come in and just dish damage into it, so that it can be so that it can just be popped off and you get those 20 points of morale. I'm not punching him down, Fen. I'm actually critiquing the Hutt Cartel's defense here. But yeah, that should have gone down much quicker, that raider. I don't even know if it goes down, because the cartel pick up the kill on Julius, and then it's just a case of the farm. So I think as soon as... So that was close there. They got the 15 points. Julius goes down. And I think the call was actually made to melt the raider. We just let them... yeah, you can see it slightly in the corner there, as Velian comes in and bounces off the shield gen. Bonk! Where is it? The ish. Yeah, it's being laid into. So... Oh, but a kill got picked up instead. JB goes down again. Wow. JB dies twice on the same attack. That hurts. Yeah, same situation for them, yeah. Yeah, it was quite weird. I mean, Velian's got no chaff here. He's got one ion missile and two quick anti-starfighter missiles. Julius and plus JB are out. Rediak, I don't know how much ordnance he's got, and Jido is somewhere on the field as well, but both flagship attacks here sucked. I know Hellporg's basically got much less of an attack because of those two kills, and because Julius didn't have the ordnance coming in. Like, there was a number of mistakes here that cost Hellporgs this attack. If they were able to come in fully loaded, try and not die. I mean, obviously it's easier to say don't die, but still don't die. Then you would have been able to output the damage a lot better, a lot earlier. And you would have been able to... Hellporgs would have been able to get to the shield gens and possibly take them out. Like, the farm from the cartel here was really, really good. Especially with Josephus picking it up after Sheriff died. But... yeah, they basically had no morale when they came into an attack on the shield gens. And I don't even know what that was at, but it wasn't much. Okay, so the one shield gen gets disabled, and that's it. And, yep, Rediak goes down for the defense as well. So at this point in time, I know Julius is on 0 seconds, but at this point in time, no farm can come out for the next 5 seconds-ish, because Julius has got to come out, find the farm, line it up, and then fire. And that takes a while. That can take between 5 and 10 seconds, especially when the AI is currently over the other side of the map. Yeah, I think Julius was hoping for a resupply, but factoring in the... yeah, if he was waiting for a resupply, then that makes sense. It's just a shame that he couldn't sort out his power management for that, because he would have been able to stay in that fight. Like, 40% in a bomber is still, you know, like 800 plus. When he went in. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. On the first, sorry, on that last frigate attack before he actually messed up his power management. At that point, Judo went down when the attack was happening, so he had to kind of just stay in and dish out the damage in order to be able to get something done. But that aside, there's still the mistake here of it's a little bit difficult at this point, but the morale is not looking good for Hellporgs at this point. They know that Julius at the very least knows that he's low, he's going to go down. There's a bit of farm coming in, and to take Charlie now, I think is probably the same mistake that they had in the first game. They should have kept it for out of phase so that they could have used it a lot more efficiently for the morale. Because with not that many players in, so Judo just goes down, comes out then. So Judo's basically only just spawned. Julius is low as fuck. Velian plus JB and Rediak. I don't know what their ordnance is like, but we saw that, I think it was Velian had Ion Missile and... Oh, plus JB must be having Ion Missile as well then, because they disabled the shield gem without marks. Unless they got off marks, sure. So, because Julius doesn't have anything here, and Jido can't get to him before he goes down. I mean, it's a calculated risk. Like, he could get to him, he might not, but his power management was bad, so he couldn't do anything about it anyway. I know I kind of keep hating on it, but it's quite big in terms of understanding how it affects the rest of the game, or the rest of the series of events that happen after this. Like, one of their main damage dealers, the TIE Bomber, doesn't have enough ordnance, doesn't have enough energy, and doesn't have resupplies at this point to be able to launch an effective attack. Rediak, I'm not sure what his ordnance was, but is still able to perform an attack. Velian and plus JB, if they've got marks or not marks, they can get in to sort out a shield gen disable at the very least. But given that the morale is still quite against Hellporgs here, and the momentum that the cartel have, and they know, at this point, Hellporgs know that the Raider is still up as well, which is pretty big. So that means that all they need is either one kill, and they know that Julius is low because it tells you, or they get some AI, and then the Raider, and then that flips. They really should have made the call to fall back here and prep for the defense, because if they could hold out an ISD defense, then they could have probably one phase the MC, because they would have been able to steamroll through the they would have been able to use the frigate to be able to get those plus 15 points on their defense, and then it's a case of the Raider, which is another 20, that's 35, and you're basically at halfway already. It's a lot. Plus, both of your bombers would be in really good spots to be able to instantly start farming. And if you've got two Goliaths lined up, boom, another 30 points of morale. And then the cartel couldn't really be able to get in. If the shield gens were down, it would be a little bit... but because they were both up, they didn't need to push through this. Again, it feels a little bit like they get pop committed, and Hellporgs need to just rein that back slightly and actually make a decision not out of panic. I'm not saying that they make all their decisions out of panic, but both of these flagship attacks, they feel forced. They do feel forced. This defense so far is pretty good. They've put a lot of pressure on Bacifus here, but the problem is that Judo does go down. Rediak goes down as well. Okay, so Julius is just coming out, Rediak's gone down, plus JB went down again. And I think this is the problem, because they committed to that attack, Hellporgs, it meant that the cartel could kind of pick out some easier kills because the ordnance just wasn't there, or they were on their way back out of it, and it's difficult at times when you've got that to defend against that. Sometimes things just don't go the way that you need them to. Somebody should have tried to help peel for Bacifus here, but he is trying to get out back to the MC, and I think he does. That's good. Still taking a bit of damage though. I think he should have gone back to the MC and just come back out. Basically there. But again, the morale farm 24 for wait, it wasn't even that, was it? Okay, so 2508. 2508. 40 seconds later is when the first pack of AI started to come in. That is nuts. And we can see that the cartel has got one shield gen either disabled or destroyed. I think it was destroyed because it was only at 12 HP from the last attack. And then this one will go down as well. 50, 40 gone. Yep. So both shield gens down now. The raider can start dealing passive damage to the flagship. Targeting was still up on the MC as well. So that's maximum passive damage that can be applied to the Star Destroyer. So that went down at about 2420. It's not bad. We see Spoon stripping some turrets here. And the ISD is already at 80. Yeah, the farm just is not happening. They pick up a kill on Radiant. Yeah, was he in support at that point? No, he wasn't. He was in X-Wing. Okay. Josephus coming back out, full payload. Y-Wing probably should have switched to an X-Wing here with Torps or something. They pick up the kill. Raider is getting melted, which is the good decision to make for the passive damage. Because like we said, it's instead of it being 1% every 4 seconds without it, it's now 1 every 2 seconds, which is huge. And shields go down at 20, so when does the Raider get taken out? Okay, relatively easy numbers. So it's like 30 seconds of damage, so you've got 15% of passive damage that gets applied. Now, passive damage stops getting applied at the 15% mark-ish. Like, it's weird, but well, it's slightly buggy, but it bounces between like 16 and 14, depending on how much damage is actually being applied to it at the same time. But yeah, it essentially stops at 15%, and then you just got to take it down from weak spots and other bits of damage. But the Raider should have dropped so much quicker there. The farm wasn't happening either. The defenders should have jumped in on the Raider to dish out the damage. It's the only way that you can have any hope of defending it. And then weak spot. Farm starts to come in now. That was a mistake from Bacifus there. And I see this a lot with so many players. Sometimes it's difficult to tell, but other times like there, it's like fucking obvious. Don't shoot destroyed hull sections. It doesn't do any extra damage. It just wastes your ammunition and just wastes your time. You want to take down a flagship quickly. Don't shoot the sections that are already destroyed. Now, the angle for him there was a little bit tricky, I'll give him that, but overall, the approach could be better, and the switch from that panel to a different panel would have been better with a different approach. Then farm starts to come in, but ISD goes down. Okay, let's have a quick look at the scoreboard, and then I think this analysis will be done. And then I'll open the floor to questions, comments of what anybody thinks. I mean, Velian put in 9-1 there. That's huge. That's really fucking big. I'm really good at applying a lot of PKA pressure there to the cartel, like securing, in both games, securing 3 kills per side. Per defense, sorry, is for the most part. I think they did it like 4 out of 6 defenses or something. Maybe 5 out of 6, but it's pretty good. That's just really, really good. But they needed more farm there. I know the numbers there don't. The numbers there would suggest that they did really well with the farm, but it was too slow and it wasn't at the right time. And I think they had another defensive phase. One more defensive phase than the cartel did. But you could just see by those numbers that there wasn't too much damage output, and that's just because they didn't get a chance to actually go on to the... Yeah, sorry about the play button. Yeah, I'll jiggle my mouse about. Oh, that doesn't work. Yeah, it's timely farm. Yeah, it's getting it at the right point for the right reasons. Yeah, like the kills were amazing. The kills are the reasons that they got the flips. Like if they couldn't secure the kills, then they wouldn't have flipped. Yeah, I mean the cartel answered with kills of their own. See 9 kills racked up there and 12 for Porgs. Assists were cool, reasonable, but yeah, there was just no damage there from. I mean, I say no damage, but it's like they didn't get a chance to attack the flagship, so they're obviously gonna yeah for the cartel, not for Porgs. They didn't get a chance to attack the flagship, so yeah, they need to tighten up. So overall points for the cartel. They need to not crash into frigates. Brilliant. The farm could have happened a little bit quicker. And the raider shields need to go down a lot quicker as well. And then there were a number of deaths here that could have been avoided. So evasion training, definitely. And practice getting out of being dunked and stuff like that. Hellporgs. First and foremost, sort out your farm. The farm needs to be improved. Like I said, it's not about the stack of numbers that you throw up. It's about when those numbers are thrown up and how they coincide with a lot of other stuff that's going on. Like there was lots of ones and twos. There was not many full stacks of 5 coming in. Kills, great, but farm, not so great, and improved decision making on when and where to take the last frigate, and also not to get pot committed. So, you know, if you've taken the raider, don't think, and the morale's like shit, don't think that you need to get in to do something. Figure out what you want to do in each objective. If you do get it, great, then you can continue what you're doing. If you don't get it, or you don't think you can get it, what's the plan? Are you going to fall back? Are you going to stay in? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? And final thing is everyone, watch your power management for shunting and watch your power management for shield skipping. I want to see balanced shields or alter back when you're getting shot. Some people would disagree with me for that. That's fine. But you're wrong. And yeah, I think that'll do it. You should do the one where Hutt took Savrip on Galatan for SCL. I still can't fathom how you all got that so decisively. Yeah, maybe I'll do that one next. That's a good shout. That is a good shout. But yeah, this was Nerdy Northerner stream. Just to make sure that I don't get like done or something. But yeah. That will do it, I think. Oh, nice one, Evo. Cheers. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's like the first time that I've done this. I thought it'd be really cool for the, well, for myself and the community, really. I've seen a lot of mistakes from myself, from the cartel, from other teams for a really long time. And I thought it'd be a lot of fun to go over things and see what the community thinks about stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do this once a week. I've no idea what day, I've no idea what time, because everybody's all over the place. Now talk about why Fame playing is trash at support. Oh dear. I mean, you said it, not me, but yeah, I need to sort out timings for this. Because those 2 matches took me like 2 hours to do. I mean, there was a little bit of a break in between, but Cyphers needs to make another video series. But I'll work on timings so that the Americans can see it a bit easier on the West Coast, and just try and include as many people as I can. And I'll try and go over as many teams as I can. I know that the SCL is basically over now for a lot of the teams. It's just the kind of finals and stuff like that, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm going to try and do one of these once a week. I'll upload this to YouTube as well, so that people can go back and watch and critique and tell me I'm shit and whatever, but yeah. But right now, I think I'm actually going to go get some food. So if you've not followed, follow. If you've not given me your life savings, give me your life savings. Otherwise, take care, and I will see you on the next stream. Joking about the life savings thing. Also, all the variations of get fucked. Nice. Alright, take care, guys.